We're just going to pause for one moment as everyone's making their way in from the waiting room, and we will get underway. I still see folks coming in, so we're just going to wait another minute. We don't want anybody to miss any of the important information that's going to be shared this morning. We have quite a crowd. All right, looks like we are pretty good. So I'm going to welcome everybody this morning. Good morning and welcome to NJEDA's Henri Ida Business Assistance Grant Program, brought to you by the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, the Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey, the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey, and the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. I'm Michelle Sakurka, President and CEO of NJBIA, and with us today is Tim Sullivan of the NJEDA. A few housekeeping matters before we get started. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to you tomorrow along with the PowerPoint slides, so be on the lookout. If you can't wait, they're available for download in the Downloads tab, and I'd also like to draw your attention to the Questions tab. Our speakers would be happy to take your question today, so get them in as they come to you via the questions chat box. And then EDA will be engaging those questions with Tim after his presentation. If you have any trouble viewing or hearing during this presentation, don't forget you'll be automatically receiving the recording within 24 hours along with the PowerPoint slides. So all you have to do is sign out and watch the recording so you won't miss a thing. So now I'd like to turn it over to our fearless EDA leader, Tim Sullivan, who's going to walk us through the Henri Ida Business Assistance Grant Program. Tim, the floor is all yours.
Great, thank you, Michelle, and thank you so much for having me. I appreciate everyone taking the time to tune into this. First and foremost, Michelle, thanks to you and your team for organizing this. I think we called sometime on Thursday or Friday, probably in the middle of the night, and said, hey, we need some help getting the word out. And as always, you and your team rallied to the occasion and went above and beyond. And also organized a great consortium of co-hosts, the other chambers. Michelle just named them all. I won't repeat them, but great partners, every one of them. In getting the word out about this program and so many other programs. So thanks to that. Thanks for taking the time to help us get the word out here. On behalf of Governor Phil Murphy, first of all, extend my sympathy and heartfelt best wishes for everyone going through the tragedy that Ida and Henri and recent storms have produced for our small business community. To state the obvious, just about the last thing the small business community needed were two acts of God and acts of destructive nature, right as they were standing back up and getting their businesses back in order and back to full steam after the tragedy and the crisis that was and is COVID. Like the small business community did, and like the EDA and the Murphy administration did during COVID, during the peak of COVID, the resilience that's been on display from our small business community and the resources that are being made available give me confidence that we're going to continue to pull through this and do our best to get through these challenges and get on to better days. The governor and I were in Millburn together about 10 days ago. Just a scene of devastation, particularly for the downtown community, and lots of homes as well. Not to give short shrift to the homeowner situation here, but to the small business communities. Small business community, significant damage in Millburn, and that's representative of damage all throughout the state. The governor was on the ground and announced this program before there was even a federal disaster declaration in any counties, and obviously that county list has grown quite a bit, which is good news for everyone. This is a $10.5 million program. It's a grant. It's up to $5,000. It's meant to be about as simple as possible. My great colleague, Patience Purdy, is going to pop on the camera in a minute and walk you through all the details. I'll tell you, if you've done our COVID grants before and any of our 4 phases of the COVID grants, you're going to find a lot of this familiar, and that should be modestly encouraging, and that it's familiar and not brand new territory. If you've not been part of our COVID program, it hopefully will be about as user-friendly as any government assistance program you can imagine. The key, I'd say, and this is true if you're still cleaning up, because we know one of the reasons we wanted to give folks a little bit of time before we started taking applications on Friday, the 17th, is folks who are still cleaning up and digging out and dealing with the physical damage that they sustained. And so if you are still digging out, if you're still cleaning up, if you're still mopping up, make sure to take pictures and document. You're going to need to demonstrate that you had a challenge, that you had damage. You're not going to have to do much more than that, but you're going to have to demonstrate that there was a physical impact on your business from one of these two storms, Ida or Henri or Henry. I see the I and I say Henri, but that's because I took French in high school, so I'm not sure what the right pronunciation of that storm is, but the storm that hit right before Ida. So we want to make sure that folks can get in and through these programs, but you're going to need to demonstrate you had a challenge. So if you've got receipts, if you got photos, if you got contractor invoices, you're going to need that for us. You're going to need that for insurance. You're going to need that for any federal programs that come down the pike, whether those are SBA or other programs that they're in the process of standing up. Anyway, this is meant to be not the be-all end-all of the support that small businesses are going to need. This is meant to be a bridge and a bit of resources to keep you going and to address some of the near-term challenges, some of the immediate damage. We know that the damage is a lot more than $5,000 for a lot of people, but we wanted to get some resources out as quickly as possible. This is state money. This is their federal government has not yet, and it may never appropriate direct relief resources. Although Congress and the president, I'm sure the governor will work hard to see if that can happen, but the federal government will do what it does, and we'll see what they do. But this is state money, so we wanted to get on the ground quickly. We had this program announced again before the FEMA declarations were made. Our board approved this in a special meeting last week, and we're excited or eager to get this money out because we know people need it. We know there's enormous pain out there in the small business economy, pain that's only amplifying existing significant challenges from COVID and from everything that's been going on in the last 18 months or so. So again, on behalf of Governor Murphy, thank you for taking the time. If you're one of the folks tuning into this, it's probably because you had a pretty crummy interaction with either Henri or Ida, and our hearts go out to you, and we're with you. We have your back. We want to get this money to help you get the money out to help you as best we can, and continue to be creative and think about how we can support our small business community through yet another challenge. But as I said a few times, the small business community in New Jersey has proven itself to be resilient as hell these last 18 months. And I'm sure these two storms have been devastating. I know these two storms have been devastating, but I know we're going to pull through it and get back up again and clean up and move on and move on to better days. So with that, to help you do that, the governor wanted to make sure we got some money on the street, some relief money on the streets. With that, I'm going to hand it to my colleague, Patience Purdy, who is the czar of all things grant programs. If you've participated in our COVID grant programs, you know Patience well from webinars like this, and she's an extraordinary colleague and partner and knows everything about these grant programs and can take you through the nitty-gritty. Patience, over to you.
Thanks, Tim. Good morning, everyone. As Tim said, it's a pretty straightforward program and hopefully as easy as applying for a grant program for assistance can be. We're going to walk through the parameters of the program and take questions at the end. But just to give you some peace of mind, we will have, by the end of the day today, we'll have posted up on the site a walkthrough of the actual application, live and in person, so you can see exactly which questions are going to be asked. Hopefully by tomorrow midday, we'll have a sample application that you can, that are screenshots of the application that you can see. The FAQs for the application are up currently, and our call center at the EDA has all of those. And if they can't answer your question, they can, they'll grab someone that can. But hopefully we'll get those questions answered for you today. Next slide. Okay, so we're here to support businesses and nonprofits impacted by the remnants of Hurricane Henri or Ida. The max number of full-time equivalent employees that you can have and be eligible for this program is 50. That's been consistent across our other grant programs. And you have to have a commercial location. So home-based businesses are not qualified or not eligible. You have to have a commercial location, and that commercial location must have been damaged. We've got $10,500,000 to provide these funds to you, a third of which will go to eligible opportunity zone areas. You don't need to do anything for that. We know that when you apply, if you're in the opportunity zone. So it's not something that you need to think about or research on your own. And again, as Tim said, if additional funding comes through, I'm sure we'll have additional programs. We just don't know that at this point. Next slide, please, Jake. Okay. So grants equal to an eligible applicant's demonstrated unmet need for support of August rent or mortgage payment at a cap of $5,000. So for example, $5,000 is the most that we can grant out in this situation. If your rent or mortgage is $6,000, $7,000, $5,000 is going to be the most that you can get. However, if your rent is $5,000, but your need is only $1,000, we're going to award you based on your need up to a cap of $5,000 based on your rent or mortgage. Your unmet need or the need that you have for the program is going to be based on estimated damages that you are going to certify to and revenue loss that you are going to certify to. We're going to ask you to upload any contractor estimates, repair estimates, things like that, because there is potential for an audit in the future. So everything that you can provide to us to support what your need is and what your damage was is going to be appreciated and is going to be used to determine what your grant award will be. The funds can only be used for August rent or mortgage. So it's a reimbursement of those payments. Capital expenses, remediation, construction are not eligible uses for the funding. Next slide, please. Okay, so eligibility. Up to 50 full-time equivalent employees. That's based on your most recent, which should be your Q2 2021 New Jersey WR30 filing. If you don't file WR30s, that's fine. That doesn't make you ineligible. We're looking at the WR30s to make sure you don't have over 50 employees. If you don't have any employees, that's fine too. Your August rent or mortgage must be at minimum $1,000, and your damage or revenue loss as a result of the hurricane must be at minimum $1,000. Again, a physical commercial location in the state, an office, a point of sales, a retail store, a warehouse, a manufacturing facility. Those are some of the examples. You must be registered to do business in the state of New Jersey at the time of application, as evidenced by a valid business registration certificate, if that's required. There are certain nonprofits that are not required to be registered in the state. So if it's not a requirement for you, that's okay. If it is, we'll need to be able to pull a valid business registration certificate for you in order to confirm that. You need to be able to satisfy the New Jersey Department of Taxation's requirement that your business or nonprofit doesn't have any tax debts due to the state currently. And in good standing with the relevant regulatory agencies, whatever they may be for your business. But for example, Department of Labor, alcohol and beverage control, I believe it's human services for child care providers, so that you're in good standing with all of those agencies, depending on what your line of business is. Next slide. Okay, not eligible for Henri Ida Business Grant Program. Landlords, home-based businesses, and then the next list are across all of our grant programs, and they're considered somewhat nuisance businesses. So gambling or gaming activities. Now, what I will point out with regards to gambling or gaming is that if you are a small retail store and you sell lottery tickets, that's not considered gambling or gaming. If you are a nonprofit that may host a casino night as part of a fundraiser, that's not considered gambling or gaming. Conduct purveyance of adults, it's all listed there for you, activities and services, auctions, bankruptcies, fire sales, lost our lease, transient merchants. A little color around the transient merchant. Think of a Christmas tree seller who pops up simply during the winter on a corner here one week, could be a different corner another week, but is not a full-time regular business in the state of New Jersey. So something to consider when you're thinking through that. And then any activity constituting a nuisance or illegal purpose. And we're going to ask you to check all of those and say, no, I don't do that. Next slide. The screener. So this is going to be the first thing you see when you come to apply for the program. And you must be able to answer yes to all of these. Do you have a physical commercial location within the state? Did it sustain physical damage as a result of Ida? So physical damage does not include power loss alone. And I think that there's some concern there because you can certainly have a loss if your business lost power, but that's not considered for this program. So if your entire block lost power because of the storm and you lost things that were refrigerated, that's not considered damage for this storm. It needs to be physical damage to your business. And then can you provide evidence of the physical damage? We do require you to upload photos, repair invoices with the application on the day of application. Was your business in operation on August 1st? This is an August rent or lease reimbursement program. So you need to have been in operation on August 1st, and you need to have made that August 2021 rent or mortgage payment. And you need to be able to show us that. So the next one is, can you provide evidence of the rent or mortgage payment? Evidence of the rent or mortgage payment could be a canceled check. It could be a screenshot showing the receipt of funds, a copy of an electronic funds transfer receipt that you received, something that shows that you paid an August rent or mortgage. And we're also going to ask you to upload that lease or the rent, your mortgage materials or lease to the application. So we see that you do have it. And then we also see that you did pay it. Was the physical damage to the commercial business location and the business interruption at lost hours, lost sales, etc., at least $1,000? So your need must be at least $1,000. Your rent or mortgage must be at least $1,000. And you're going to need to certify that you are a commercial business operation and not a landlord or a home-based business. So all of those questions are going to be on the front page of the application. And if you cannot answer yes to them, please do not apply to the program. Okay, there are other programs coming through for small businesses. This is not a COVID program. It is very specific to Henri and Ida. If you can't answer yes to every single one of them, don't apply. What will happen is we'll decline your application and it'll slow the process for others that do have and can say yes to all of those questions. Next slide, please. Okay, required documentation, proof of damage, clear photographs of the damage, both before and after when possible. Before and after are not, the before are not required, but they're extremely helpful for us. So clear photographs of the damage. If you have before, wonderful, certainly the after. And the photographs, when possible, should include something that identifies the building and the structure so that we can tie that photograph to your business. Your proof of need, you're going to certify to this, but we do ask that you upload repair estimates, any receipts for things you've already taken care of, things that show us what that need is so that when we're evaluating your application, we have that information. And then, as I said on the during the previous screen, your proof of rent or mortgage, your lease or mortgage agreement, and a copy of a canceled check, receipt, electronic funds transfer. If you do everything online and you do it through your bank account, you know, if you show, if you want to take a screenshot of your account and then highlight and black out what you need to and show us that that payment was made to the place listed in your lease or mortgage, that's fine too. Next slide, please. Okay, this is really important. Applications are going to be, this is the specific application, are at programs.njeda.com. That is our application portal and has been for all of these programs, nearly all of these programs to date. You can go there now, programs.njeda.com. And if you have applied for assistance with us before through one of our COVID programs, you should have a username and password. And I'm going to encourage you to go now and to log in with your username and password. Make sure that you know it and that you can take care of any forgotten password issues, any I can't log in issues ahead of time so that on September 17th, when the application opens, you're ready to go. If you have not applied for our programs before, same thing, go to programs.njeda.com and register with the portal. Create your profile, your username and password. Get yourself ready to go for the 9th so that at 9 a.m., this is a first come, first serve program. At 9 a.m. on the 17th, you want to just log in and click the blue button for the Henri Ida grant program. 9 a.m. on the 17th. Okay, so if you want to get some more information, if you want to read up more on the program, we have FAQs and things listed on our website, and we're going to provide you with that information as well. I think that might be on the next slide, but I could be wrong. It's programs, and I think someone from comms will put it in the chat message for you, but it's NJEDA.com, Henri Ida Relief, because I think this may be our last slide. Jake, is there a slide after this, or is that the final? Yep, that's the final. So there we go. NJEDA.com/Henri-Ida-Relief. That's where you're going to find the FAQs. That's where you're going to find the walkthrough of the program. That's where you're going to find the sample app when it's posted. The application, when you log in, will be available in English and Spanish. You'll need to select Spanish as your language, and then you can walk through the entire application in Spanish. The other thing that will be there is language assistance. So the FAQs will be posted in 11 languages outside of English, and I can't list them all right now, but everything from Spanish to Portuguese and Tagalog and Mandarin. So those will be at the Henri-Ida-Relief site on NJEDA.com. Our notice of funding availability is there, and this slide presentation is also there for you. At this point, I think we open it up for any specific questions or things that that you need to know that I didn't cover already.
Okay, patients, we have a few questions from our audience. The first one is, what if I move my business to a different address? Can I use my receipts for the equipment that I purchased when I move to a new address? This is the equipment that was damaged in the flood.
Okay, so the funding that we are giving you is for August rent or lease payments only. So it's a reimbursement. So you need to show us that you've paid that. We're going to give you that money and pay it back. What you do with your own, what you do with your money outside of that is not something that we're concerned about. This money, though, has to be shown to be in reimbursement for your rent. So if you paid your rent, we're going to pay you back for it. And the money that you initially used to pay your rent then would become free for you to use however you like. But this is specific as a reimbursement of lease or rent payments.
Kind of a similar question, patients, from a nonprofit that experienced more than $1,000 worth of physical damage from Ida, but they own their building and don't make mortgage payments. Are they eligible if they cannot submit evidence of a rent payment?
Not for this specific program, no. So hopefully additional programs will follow, but this is strictly a reimbursement for August rent or mortgage payments.
And then the next question is from a commercial property owner who incurred damage and that's not covered by insurance. And they're asking if the program is appropriate for their purposes.
So, and a commercial property owner.
It sounds like a landlord. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a landlord, no. The landlords are not eligible.
Okay. And then we have a question from the Cranford First Aid Squad. It's similar to an earlier question. They own the building outright, so they would not be eligible, correct?
Correct.
And this says, our insurance covered damages but not revenue loss. Can we claim the deductible along with any revenue losses when applying for the grant?
Yes, I would upload something that shows, yeah, so your revenue loss is fine. It's definitely a need. And you certainly can use that to show damages. Revenue loss is considered damage. So anything that you have that can detail that for us, you would upload at the time of application.
Okay. What if we have not paid August rent yet, but we have a copy of our lease?
So it's a reimbursement program. So we can't reimburse you for something that you haven't paid.
There's a question here I'm not sure we can answer, but we can always follow up. Are there any nonprofits that provide assistance to people, families or communities affected by Henri/Ida? I don't know what other state agencies are offering, maybe DCA?
I think that there are probably a lot of agencies that are offering help, and they're probably very specific to the location. If we can take this person's information and see what we can find out, my best suggestion would be to go to your municipality or county website, or something more localized to where you are, and find out what they have available. The Red Cross, I know, provides support. I think it's just very specific to location.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. The next question is, one of my losses included the hot water heater that had to be completely replaced along with repair of the compressor. I didn't take a photo of the actual machines, but I have receipts of payment. Is that sufficient proof?
Yes, upload your receipts and payment, please.
And the next question speaks to our technical capacity. How are you preparing so that if everyone logs in at 9 a.m. on Friday, that the system doesn't crash, like I believe it did with the COVID grants?
Well, so that's a good question, and we're load testing currently. But I will say that through the COVID grants, we had one instance in the 3 where some portion of our system wasn't able to manage the load, and that happened on one day for one group. So other opening days there were 10 or 11, and we made it through those just fine, fixed whatever that issue was on that one day. However, please know that there are two sides happening with regards to technology and applying and getting into something quickly. I'll speak just personally when trying to purchase an Xbox for Christmas for one of our children, and I was in there and I was on and I had it in my cart and I went to check out and it was gone because somebody else's system is just faster and better than mine. So your system, the system you're using, is going to have a role in that. So as I did this morning for this webinar, I shut down everything else that was going on around me so my video wouldn't freeze. Just set yourself up for the best possible scenario at 9 a.m., but we should have you covered as far as load testing.
Yeah, and if I may add, we would like nothing better than for that to go smoothly. So. And now the next question is, if the August, this is a good one actually, if the August rent was covered by another grant program, in parentheses, NJRA, could we still apply for this assistance?
No, because your rent was covered by another grant program. So there's two things there. It's a reimbursement program, something that you don't need to be reimbursed for. And secondly, likely then a significant duplication of benefits, which we can't do with grant funding.
Okay. Can you repeat the website we need to go to on 9/17 and apply? And can you do so slowly, please?
Yes, I can. It is programs, programs.njeda.com. When you get there, you'll see across the black bar at the top, NJEDA Application Center. At the top right, you're going to see my applications. I believe the next thing you'll see, you'll say English. You can drop that down and turn it into Spanish. And then the next line there will say sign in. If you've never signed in before, click sign in and you'll have the option to register. If you have signed in before, when you click sign in, you'll see that it asks you for your username and password. Just make sure you know those and have those ready to go. Write it down. Stick it on a sticky note on front of your computer, probably really bad, then burn it afterwards so that you're not leaving your password around, because I know our IT team would tell me that was a bad suggestion. But make sure you have it handy so that you can log in at 9 a.m. And it's programs.njeda.com. And again, all of this information is at the NJEDA website on the IDA relief page. And I believe that that information is getting posted in the chat. If it isn't, this particular webinar will be available to everybody. And if you go to njeda.com and type IDA in the search bar, you're going to find it.
Great. Will people be able to upload videos as part of their application?
I don't know that the system will. It's a good question and a question I don't know the answer to. If you could reach out to our, I'll work on getting that answer. And if you could reach out to our call center, and that phone number is 844-965-1125. I'll be sure to let the folks on the call center team know the answer to that question. I'm not sure. Pictures,
Yeah.
documents, Word documents, PDF documents, I am sure of. I do not know the video question.
My concern with that be, even if it's allowed, is that it might really slow you down.
It's a good point. Yes.
If it's a big file. Yeah. If a company has more than 50 FTEs and meets all the eligibility requirements, can we still apply?
No, if you have more than 50 full-time equivalent employees, you're not eligible for the program.
And is it important to make the distinction between FTEs and full-time employees, patients?
So full-time
if they're
equivalent
borderline,
employees, sure. Yeah, actually, and this is in the FAQs that are posted on the site now. We provided a link to the grant size estimator from our phase 4 program, which will allow you to see what your FTEs are. It's an hours worked and wages earned calculation that we do based on your WR30 filing. So if you file a WR30 with the Department of Labor, we're going to get that information. And then there's a calculation done based on that to see for that quarter what was your full-time equivalent employees. So the best way for you to check that is going to be on that grant size estimator. Please know when you do that, that grant size has nothing to do with this program. It was for the phase 4 program, but that's where you can see how many full-time equivalent employees you are. And again, that's based on hours worked and wages earned.
Great. I have gutted my business and had volunteers help me. I don't have invoices of any work yet. We were under 9 feet of water and have just power washed as of today.
So hopefully,
how does that work, patients?
If you took some pictures, so pictures are sufficient to show damage. And if you were under 9 feet of water, I'm going to guess that those pictures showed some pretty extensive damage. We need to see something that shows that there was damage to the structure and an estimation of costs. If you know that you paid $1,500 for your tile floors, if they were tile, or your wood floors, if they were wood, then that is where I would put that in your own personal calculation. All right, I paid $1,500 for my wood floors. Drywall is X amount, paint is X amount. You add that all up, it's $6,000, and put your need in at $6,000 and certify to that. If you have estimates or receipts for anything, we ask for you to upload those. But really what we're looking for is for you to say, this is likely what my need is. Again, the grant is capped at your rent amount. So, you know, if your rent is $5,000 and your need is $7,000, the grant is going to be for $5,000 to cover that August rent.
Great. Next question is, we just signed a lease on 8/11 and made the security deposit for the location. Would that be allowable for this program? That sounds like it would be no.
Paid August rent or mortgage.
Okay. Would the amount we receive be based on the damage or the rent?
On the rent. So it's a bit of a combination of both. So if your rent is $5,000 and your need, because you didn't receive very much damage, is only $1,000, your grant's going to be $1,000. If your rent is $2,500 but your need is $5,000, you're going to receive $2,500 because it's capped by your rent, but it's considering both your need and your rent. But the cap is $5,000, and that would be if you had a $5,000 rent or lease payment, and the amount that you'll get is capped by your rent and or need based on what information you provide us. It will never be more than whatever your August rent was.
Great, thanks, Patience. I don't know this term, but you might. Someone asked, is CAM included, C-A-M? Sounds like an acronym. I'm not familiar with it.
An acronym I'm not familiar with either.
It's common area maintenance.
Okay.
And so sometimes it has to do with leases. It's like a triple net, which would include your contribution pro rata to rent, et cetera, taxes, et cetera.
So considered, I'm not sure how you mean by considered. So reimbursement. So common area maintenance, if you're paying a fee for that and it's included in your rent and paid as part of your rent or lease payment, then that's going to show as part of your rent or lease payment. If it's a separate payment, then I'm going to guess that that's not going to be included. But you can certainly provide that and we can evaluate it. Or if you want to, we'll take a look through these questions and see if we can get back to you directly on that answer. I don't have that specific answer.
Great, thanks, Patience. Next question is, my personal car was destroyed at my house, which I use for travel related to the small business. I'm working through insurance claim, but don't expect to be made whole for the rental car that they're using in the meantime. Is this an eligible expense?
No, that's not an eligible expense for our program.
So the physical damage is limited to the facility itself?
To the structure of the business, yes.
What about a self-rental? Company ABC pays rent to company XYZ. The owner of both companies are the same.
If there's a rent payment and that's the way your business is set up, so for example, I own an office building with 7 different offices in it. I use one of those and I pay the holding company that owns the building rent. Then that and that office building, that office that I'm renting was damaged, then that business would have to be a separate business from whoever the holding company is that owns the building. So if the holding company, if whoever owns the building is the same EIN as the business that's asking for the rental reimbursement, that's not going to work. If that business that is renting from the office building has a separate EIN, then they should apply.
Great, thanks, Patience. If you paid rent and your landlord is filing a claim for flooring, rugs, and walls, but we lost furniture, does this grant allow for furniture replacement costs? So
the grant is reimbursement for your rent. So only think of it that way. If you paid rent and you sustain damage, then we'll reimburse you for that. If you pay a mortgage and you sustain damage, we're reimbursing you for that, okay? So this money is reimbursement for that rent or lease payment, rent, lease, mortgage payment. What you do now that we've freed up the money that you already used to pay with that money is not part of the program. But the money itself that we're granting you is reimbursement for your August rent or mortgage.
Terrific, thanks, Patience. What if your landlord's flood insurance is covering all the damage to the building and you do not have receipts to a contractor for repairs?
So that would change whether or not you had a need. So there is a need that's required for the program as well. If you don't have a need because someone is covering the cost of repairing all the damage, then you wouldn't be eligible.
Okay,
so you need to have damage, you need to have a need, you need to have paid rent or mortgage.
Thanks, Patience. I checked the website and the blue button for this grant is not showing.
Right, because it's not open yet. It'll open at 9 a.m. on Friday.
Terrific, thank you. Will new programs be listed on the online application center once we log into the NJEDA portal?
So new programs are announced in a myriad of ways, one of which is this wonderful webinar. Thank you to all of the partners who helped us have this Tuesday morning event. Press releases, social media, we announce those programs in a myriad of ways. Depending on what the application process is, it may be that you find it on the portal. It may be located in another place depending on the program. So what you're going to want to watch out for are things like the business.nj.gov email that goes out to small businesses. Head to our website and sign up for our emails. Keep an eye on your, municipality, county, any state agency that that you are on their list, because programs are announced, in different avenues from different agencies, and then of course through the NJBIA, the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, Statewide Hispanic Chamber, all of the large chambers, African American Chamber of Commerce, Commerce and Industry Association, all of your industry groups that you may be part of, whether it's your local chamber, a statewide chamber, something that is limited to just your town. We try and disseminate information as far and wide as possible.
Great, thank you. We are a business and cannot get companies to visit our company to provide an estimate to fix our roof, which leaked and caused substantial damage. Will pictures be enough to demonstrate the need for this grant?
So yes, pictures and your certification, right? So you're going to be asked to certify to that level of damage. We're going to ask you to upload photos and then certify to what your need is.
Terrific, thank you. Besides rent, is this program covering the cost of repairs to your office? Assuming your rent is over $1,000 and damage to property is $4K, are you entitled to $5,000?
The amount will be capped at the amount of your rent.
Terrific. Can a month-to-month lease qualify?
If you show that you have a lease and you paid August rent, yes.
Similarly, can a sublease apply? I guess they could if they had a receipt, right?
If you've paid rent and you have damage to your physical structure, then and a need, then apply.
Okay. What happens if you own the building that was damaged and are paying paying a mortgage to a private lender?
Mortgage counts. So if you pay a mortgage, that's fine. You're going to provide us with proof of the mortgage payment and your mortgage agreement.
Thank you. Do you feel the size of the 10 million pool will be increased if there's more need than availability statewide?
So that's an unknown, but I think if you were on earlier when Tim was speaking, that the state of New Jersey is certainly wants to do as much as is possible. There are certain things that is federal money coming? We don't know. This was a first step and a quick step to get money out the door, hopefully quickly, to those that were damaged. And what may come next, I couldn't answer.
Lambertville Building Department has closed our restaurant, not allowing power to be turned on, expecting to be off remainder of September. Is there a chance the program would ever cover September rent? We've sustained water and equipment damage.
Again, I can't speak to what may happen. We're going to see how it goes with this initial program and then what the need is and what other funding may be made available. So it's impossible for me to say what may happen.
I think the answer for this one is quite similar, but it's a different question. Do you anticipate any relief for the commercial property owner? For example, the business wasn't affected, but the property was.
The business wasn't affected, but the property was. That I don't know.
It's a landlord situation. Yeah.
Currently.
Is this a first come, first served grant?
Yes, it is. Which leads me to make sure that you have signed in with your username and password and are all set to go on Friday at 9. So do that today, tomorrow, or Thursday. Don't wait until Friday at 8:55.
I own a child care center that operates in a building that I own, therefore I pay a mortgage. Can I apply for this grant? So that would be a yes, right? because they're considered a landlord, but
If the building is a commercial structure, yes. If it's a home-based business, no.
okay. This is asking about what happened with NJEDA loans submitted August 3rd and 13th. I don't
Okay,
know if
so
they're
you're
referring to the
talking
grant.
about our phase 2 loan program, and I wouldn't be able to answer those questions on this in this current time. You can reach out to customer care at njeda.com or call our call center at 844-965-1125. If you were part of that initial application period, then and you've submitted your application, you can see your status by logging in on the portal and going to my applications, and your status will be listed. Likely right now, it's either submitted, in review, or additional documentation required. So you'd be able to see that by logging in on the portal as well.
Great, thank you. Two people asking essentially the same question. If they haven't paid their August rent yet, but they pay it prior to applying on Friday, they're eligible, correct?
Say that again?
If they haven't paid their August rent yet, but they pay it between now and Friday.
So you need to show proof of your August rent payment, right? So that's what we're looking for.
Whenever it was paid. Okay.
Payment.
Okay. What documentation should we provide to document lost hours of operation apart from an owner certifying that this occurred?
If you want to put together a document that outlines, you know, I was doing very well and I had to shut down for 3 days. My typical daily revenue is X. So because I was shut down due to damage, I lost X amount of revenue. Something that shows us where that dollar amount comes from.
Can you repeat the hotline number, patients,
Sure.
the customer care number?
Yep, 844-965-1125.
Can we upload a video link to YouTube to see the damage?
Again,
So
we answered the question about videos before, and I don't know the answer. I think Virginia, when that question was asked earlier, made a great point. This is a first come, first serve program, and video uploads tend to take time. So I would stick with pictures. If you can still shot that video, then still shot the video and pick the ones that show the damage the best and upload those.
In case we get approved, does the check go to the landlord or to the business? And do I need the landlord's information available while applying for the grant?
Okay, so you're going to upload your rent or mortgage agreement as well as your proof of payment. We do not send physical checks. It's all done via electronic electronic funds transfer. So when you receive, if you're approved, you're going to get an agreement sent to you in the mail or in your email by Adobe EchoSign. And that's Adobe's secure signing platform. That's going to contain the full grant agreement where you're going to have to agree to abide by the conditions of the grant. And on that, we're going to ask you for your bank account name. So your bank name, your account number, your routing number, and what kind of account it is, checking or savings. That account should be the same name as your business, or typically the bank will reject it because we will be funding directly to that account. Again, going to the portal, logging in with your username and password when you're doing all of these things, and that was a great question to spur this other piece of information. When you enter your email address, make sure it's an email address that you're using, that you check frequently, and that you enter it correctly. Any misses on that email address, which is how we'll communicate with you 99% of the time, are going to not allow us to communicate with you. So if we need more information, we're going to send you an email letting you know that. We'll also note it on the portal, so it's always good to check your status there. But anything we need from you, we're going to do via email, and anything, any grant agreement that we send, approval documents, those are going to be done via email too. So make sure it's an email address that you use, that you check frequently, and that you enter it correctly. That being said, if you're creating a username, when you create your username, it can be your email. It does not have to be your email. But when you enter your username, be very careful, because any spaces or extra characters in there, if you forget them, if you use your email address and you put a space in after it, that's going to affect when you try and log in again, if you don't remember that there was a space there, or you didn't know that there was. So just be very careful to make sure you're entering information accurately throughout the grant application, because email is the way that we're going to communicate with you, and the information that you provide is what we're going to use to decision your grant application. So if the information isn't correct, that could affect your decision.
Ladies, we have just about 2 or 3 minutes left, so I suggest just 1 or 2 more questions so we can wrap up and keep you on time. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Michelle. Will outdoor tent damage be considered damage as well?
It has to be damage to the structure of the building.
I mailed my rent check to a landlord, but it's not yet deposited. What do I do now? So I guess they have no receipt per se.
So I would check your account for deposit, maybe reach out to your landlord and ask him to deposit that as quickly as possible. If you have a check register, we'll need something that shows that you paid that August rent.
Okay, and a final question, patients, is all this information available in multiple language? We need Spanish resources.
Yes, 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 and yes. So the application itself, when you log into the portal, you'll be able to select English and Spanish and do the entire application in Spanish if that's what you need. As far as other languages, we have the frequently asked questions and the notice of funding availability. Those will be in 11 different languages. We also have a language help department at the NJEDA, so that if you need language help, you can email them languagehelp@njeda.com, and that information is listed in the frequently asked questions as well. But again, languagehelp@njeda.com.
Thanks, patients.
You're welcome.
Wait, let me say that again. Wow. that was like a lightning round, patients. You are just chock full of information for our businesses, and we couldn't be more thankful. Standing up the program in this very short window of time, recognizing the urgency, we thank you for that. But you just went through these Q&As like no one, and can't thank you enough for your attention to this and the detail. So I just want to echo what Patience said. Get those computers fired up. The last thing we want to hear is that you weren't ready, because unfortunately these programs get oversubscribed very, very quickly, and we'll keep our eye out on numerous other opportunities. But I want to thank EDA. I want to thank Tim, the whole team, Patience. I want to thank our partners at all the chambers who participated today: Chamber of Commerce Southern New Jersey, CIANJ, Statewide Hispanic Chamber, African American Chamber of Commerce, New Jersey State Chamber of Commerce, and it's my privilege to have helped host today on behalf of NJBIA. Everybody be safe, be well, get those applications ready, and EDA, thanks again for all you're doing for New Jersey business.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.